Great blessings have fallen upon me in my short life. I got to play with a giant band, with giant orchestras, lions. But the best part was growing up as an American abroad. Beirut, Lebanon, for all of its wars and mayhem, was not a bad place for an American kid like me to grow up. There was only one proper war during my 10 years there. The Shia rose up, but it was all over pretty quickly. And this time my father had nothing to do with it. He did, however, have a lot to do with the general political shape of the Arab world from the end of the Second World War through to the early 60s. He and his CIA cronies imposed the dictators, monarchs, and potentates upon the emerging nations that kept the peace for half a century, up until 9/11, shall we say. For half a century, the cutthroats, colonels, and cult figures kept order. As my daddy used to say, they may be sons of bitches, but they're our sons of bitches. The American agents had one overriding mission, and it wasn't social engineering. Their brief was to keep the oil flowing west to our factories rather than north to the evil empire of the Soviet Union. Remember, there was a Cold War going on. Our guys had to prop it all up while the Ruskies contrived to bring it all down. The people living there just kept doing their thing, regardless of who was the boss. I suspect they felt the same way about their dictators as my dad did. That badass up there on the statue with his horse and scimitar is our badass. The week I was born, in the CIA suburb of Alexandria, Virginia, my dad was away from home, over there installing Gamal Abdel Nasser as dictator of Egypt. In a couple months I joined him, not to return to the land of my birth for 18 years. In all that time, I never had any picture of my homeland from my own eyeballs. But I sure knew I was American because everything that was shiny, cool, and new came from America. Even before TV got to Beirut, the U.S. Embassy, the American University, were bastions of order and calm security. My school, the American Community School, looked just like any high school in Ohio, but it was surrounded by deep, mysterious Orient. It was an island of America, where we expats absorbed a gleaming image of the United States that was untainted by any experience of it. But the jungle outside of the bubble was kind of cool too. More than that, it was also our home. Our version of cowboys and Indians was Crusaders and Saracens, and we played in real Crusader castles. Where we grew up, the natives won that medieval war, and the bloodthirsty Crusaders were driven out. When you grow up among Arabs, world history has a whole different cast. We were still Americans, distinct from our Arabic hosts, but they always felt like family, generous to a fault, with a cunning sense of humor. My father spoke several dialects of local and classical Arabic. Over the decades, he was succeeded by men who saw Arab life as acceptable collateral damage, while his native cronies were succeeded by men who spoke 3 European languages as well as Chinese and Russian. The old games don't work anymore. It is our conventional wisdom today, as before, that the destinies of those nations are subject to our approval. But those dictatorships, which are so handy for keeping the tribes from each other's throats, don't work when the populace is online. And we've lost our knack for choosing friends. They can see what we're doing better than we can. And my hometown became the scariest place on earth. And not just for Americans. When 9/11 hit, the question on every American's lips was, why?